Welcome, my friends. Welcome. It is Wednesday, the first day of June 2011. We're going to be live here for the next 3 hours at least. And obviously, there is masses of very important news and information on the geopolitical military front, on the economic front, on the free speech front here in the United States, with Judge Band's prayer at Texas graduation. Notice first they say they can't have a prayer officially sanctioned by the school before the football game. Then it turns into now you can't bring a Bible to school. You can't say, if you're the valedictorian or the salutatorian, thank God, for guiding me to stay straight and strong in school. You don't talk. Now, if you want to get up there and thank Buddha, that's fine. If you want to get up there and thank Shaitan, it's fine. If you want to get up there and thank the Keebler Elves, it's wonderful. If you want to get up there and thank LeBron James or Barack Obama, George Bush, if you want to get up there and talk about how you like eating M&Ms, that's okay. Any speech but Christian speech. And that's where we see this discrimination. You can have menorahs up all over the country. You can have Kwanzaa Day. You can have whatever other group, but don't have a city put up any type of even Christmas tree, which really isn't even religious. It's not Christian. It goes back to the Druids, but it's more just festive. Can't have that either. You can't have anything involved with Christmas because it's a full-on assault to attack only certain types of speech. So we're going to be talking about what are we talking about here? What are we dealing with here? What are we facing? We are facing a total takeover of our free society. And earlier, before the last break, I broke down how in Europe they started out 60 years ago saying if you try to start a Nazi party, that's a military organization we just beat, you are going to be arrested. And then a few years later, if you start a white supremacist organization, you're going to be arrested. And then a few years later, if you criticize any official history of World War II, you'll be arrested. And then they expanded it out to, a decade ago, BBC reporter Robin Page, host of One Man and His Dog, by the way, a liberal on most issues. He was at a rural affairs event. His show is walking around England with his dog from small town to small town, visiting pubs and churches and, giving a tour. Very popular show in England, running for many years at the time. He was speaking at a rural affairs event where they're putting taxes on the farmers to shut them down, banning the fox hunt that's part of their culture. You better have a fox hunt. They'll kill all your chickens and your geese and breed like rats. And he was getting up there and he said, our communities, our rural communities deserve the same rights as Muslims and homosexuals. Now, you can pull this up. BBC presenter arrested for using the word homosexual. When they arrested him, he said it's the name. Heterosexual, homosexual, Caucasian, Negro. You use those terms now. You say, hey, Caucasian to a white guy, he'll get mad. I mean, that's like calling water H2O, and you're like, you're racist against water. It's the name of it. The name of a jade plant I have at my house is a succulent. I'm not calling it, evil. The point is, they arrested him for using the word homosexual, which they now judge as inflammatory. See, this is about groups, unelected bureaucracies, just adding to list what they say is illegal. Now you can pull up BBC articles where they're approvingly reporting, in Europe and England, there are, per city, hundreds of police dispatched every week to coffee shops and restaurants and tea shops listening for criticism of immigrants. First, it was racial slurs. If they hear you talking and they're recording you next to you, secret police. But it's okay because it's politically correct to have secret police, see? And then it can be expanded to other things. Folks that don't like the crown, folks that don't like the euro, they may have to be arrested. That's been discussed. And they record you criticizing people from Pakistan. Well, whether you love folks from Pakistan or hate them, the point is it's your right to sit there at a tea shop and say, man, I'm sick and tired of the open borders and all the foreigners getting on welfare here. And they also then tend to hire foreigners to then be the rulers over the people in England, in Canada, in the U.S. But I have members of parliament on to break that down. The CPS workers are mainly former Eastern Europeans who grew up under hardcore tyranny and think it's good. That's who comes and takes your kids. They can't even speak English. But again, I'm digressing with little details here. That's the problem about my thought process. I don't sit here and think about what I'm going to even say. I just give you the full spectrum of what I'm thinking about, and it's impossible through spoken word. The amount of evidence is so monumental. Okay, going back. So, 50 years after World War II, we're now 60 years, but 50 years, 10 years ago, they would arrest you for using the word homosexual. Now they're openly saying arrest people that criticize man-made global warming. And you see Cass Sunstein here in the U.S. pushing that. And now the police are coming and raiding homes and harassing people, and members of government are calling for Lord Monckton's arrest. And they're calling for it here in the U.S. as well. We should arrest people that don't agree with us. See, so it goes from let's ban Nazi speech to now let's ban everybody's speech. And the same thing started here in the U.S. I see cases every week or two where someone takes a Bible with them in their book bag, and the teacher freaks out, takes it, throws it away, confiscates it. The kid gets thrown out of school. But wait, you could bring a Harry Potter book. You could bring a book about gardening. You could bring a book about Buddha or Islam, I'll guarantee you. Don't bring that Christian book, because the system is going after the dominant group. If the dominant group was Islam here in the U.S., the system, the social engineers, would be going after that. They'll use whatever group they can to destroy whatever the dominant group is, to drive a wedge. That's the social engineers. Now, here in Texas, and it's the same way nationwide, first it's don't allow a prayer by the coach at the football game, or don't let the principal say a prayer, because it's a government school and some folks aren't Christians. You could argue that's reasonable. But see, it's not, because next, now they're telling the valedictorian and others, and this is happening all over the country, not just Texas, you will not say anything about God. We'll break it down when we come back. Now, your speech is continuing here. And I know, but I just want to point this out to everybody so we consciously think about it. How many hundreds of times, in fact, probably thousands, it seems like every day I scan through talk radio or the news, I see every year at the start of school and at the end of school, but especially graduation, you hear, there will be no religious talk at the commencement. The principal, any of the speakers, official speakers are told, you will not talk about religion. Well, I mean, you could have an official speaker who was, say, a NASCAR champ at a high school, if, say, their kid goes there, and come and talk about NASCAR. And I thank God for giving me the gift to be able to drive this NASCAR that well. I've actually seen NASCAR guys after winning races say that. Or you now see in the NFL people getting in trouble for saying they thank God. Oh, you're not supposed to show anything. I mean, it's replete with it. You constantly hear about kids being sent home for having a Bible, but you can have any other book you want. It's selective. It's discriminatory. Because if they can bring down the biggest group, if they can target and shut up that group, then they can shut up anybody. And that's what's being done here. Now, first, it's, and you've been hearing this for over a decade, oh, schools, all these ACLU lawsuits, you can't have the principal get up there and give a religious speech. And I tend to almost agree, because what if the principal, you know, is a part of a group I don't agree with? I mean, yeah. Thomas Jefferson said separation of church and state in a letter. It's not in the Constitution, saying you don't have the government officially setting up a religion, because they always had that in Europe and wars over it, saying we're Catholic, we're Protestant, we're this, we're that. We're not going to be like the Arabs killing each other over Sunni government or Shiite government. You know, we're not going to have that. But that doesn't mean that you then can't go to school and have a Bible in your bag or say a prayer at lunch. You've seen those articles of kids being kicked out of school because they say prayers at lunch. That's your First Amendment. That's Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or of the press, or the right of the people to peaceably assemble for a redress of grievances. Or the press. See, it's all there. It's not just you're allowed to put a crucifix in a bowl of urine and have taxpayers pay for it. That is separation of church and state. That's what, see, the government does the opposite. The government cannot build a giant cross and have you worship it. And the government can't pay, what was it, $500,000 for a crucifix and urine. But now they've told the kids, the valedictorian and others, you don't talk about God or nothing, or thank God for you getting #1 grades. All right, I'm ranting, if you just joined us, about this report. It's at NBC, San Antonio Express News, you name it. Judge bans prayer at Texas graduation. So now they've told the speakers, the valedictorian, others. The judge says speakers cannot call on audience members to bow their heads. Now, here's the key. Join in prayer or say amen. And if you go read the full ruling, basically they can't make religious connotations in their speech. So this is the precedent being set with our young people who will grow up thinking bowing down to government's the way to go. And the exact same system they put in Europe and Canada. You know, preachers, you can search the term, preacher arrested for reading Bible passages in Canada. And they have told churches in the last decade, if you read passages critical of homosexuality and the whole gay lifestyle, you will be arrested. Same thing's happening in Europe. Well, folks, regardless of what your stance is on that, you should support those churches having their right to free speech. Whether you agree with them or disagree, when you take their free speech away, it's over. I mean, why do you think the ACLU has rightly defended the right of the Ku Klux Klan to march? It's unsavory. Most of the time, it's a bunch of feds dressed up doing it. That's come out in the Orlando newspaper and others. I mean, there's no real Klan people there. It's all feds to create racial tension. Hal Turner, the famous top Nazi, as I told you, it was an FBI operative, now admitted in federal court. Side issue. The thing here is that you'd better defend their right. Like, I'm seeing cases of people now being arrested for using the N-word. I saw a case a few years ago in Utah where on record at the football game, the black folks called the photographer for the newspaper and the coach and other people, you can pull up these articles, called them white, you know, the white insults, the honky word, the cracker word. I better not say the big holy word, though, the N-word. And then the people called them that back. But that's it. Police said, well, you're allowed to say the honky and the cracker, but you don't say the other word. Folks, this is an obsession on words. So, and then the political correctness expands to San Francisco and other cities in the U.S., where in the San Francisco case, it was Hispanic kids wearing American flag shirts because, quite frankly, they were sick of folks running around waving Mexican flags everywhere. They're like, hey, dude, this is America. And the school said, you will go home. You'll turn those shirts inside out or you'll go home. You don't wear an American flag here at this school. The illegal aliens are so outraged by American flags when they see them. It's like a vampire seeing a cross or something, I guess. That's the way they behave. That all over the country, at gas stations, repair shops, government buildings, police stations, post offices. You've seen on the news. The illegals run up in mass and pull it down and run up Mexican flags. That's the political correctness. And the media is like, how cute, how sweet. You see, and the media is like, well, that American flag does need to be taken down. That's pretty evil. That could incite people. So, see, you go from saying, let's ban Nazi speech, to now Cass Sunstein saying, and notice Cass Sunstein in those Harvard reports he put out and then reissued in the White House, even Reuters covered this if you're a new listener and don't believe it. And I don't blame you not believing it. It's crazy. It's over the top. He said, we want to first find people who don't believe in man-made global warming or don't believe the official 9/11 story or believe that some sunshine is good for you. These are quotes. If you say any sunshine is good, we'll fine you and then we'll condition people to accept arrest. And people say, why did he pick saying sunshine's good for you? Well, that's going after alternative health folks because they pick something that seems reasonable so they can ban it, so they can ban anything by setting the precedent.